Well, greetings one and all. My name is Lancer and we're doing a boredom video today. I recently have a whole new setup. You won't really notice this, but I'm no longer inside the closet. I am outside the closet, so I have come out of the closet. But I am wearing my culture hat today, which you know what that means. That means it's anime time. But this is no simple anime video. This is an anime tier list video. Oh boy, we're just gonna jump right into it because this is an anime tier list speedrun, which pretty much is I have this preset tier list here, which had like 300 plus anime on them, but I'd say over 2/3 of them I haven't watched, so that's pretty much what this tier is. So go ahead and roast me all you want for this and showing that I haven't watched that much mainline anime. And pretty much is just because tier lists tend to be long running videos, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, while at the same time like giving a good analysis on these shows. So, I mean, that'll be easy because a lot of these shows I have talked about before. We'll see, because there are some shows on here that I do want to talk about, but I don't really want to dedicate a video to, so this should be interesting. And here's our tiers. Of course, this is preset, this isn't mine. I did tinker with it a bit. Of course, got God tier, best of the best. High tier, not the best, but still really good. Mid tier, shit. Yeah, alright, let's jump right into it. First thing, Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. Check out my Fate tier list up above. It's probably one of my favorites of the newer videos that I've been making. Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, amazing trilogy of movies. I talked more in depth about that in my tier list video about it before. Perfect sequel to Fate Zero. I love it quite a bit. Honestly, I'd say next to Fate Zero, it's my second favorite Fate thing. Honestly, I'd say it's probably my favorite route as well. So because of that, animation, of course, Ufotable the best. God tier. Starting off with a bang. Next one. A recent one that I actually recently watched. Doro Hedoro. This is a Netflix original anime as well. I know that there's a lot of people who really like Doro Hedoro. Like, when it came out, like people like CDogVA, whose videos I really love, and he's a voice actor and YouTuber who I really respect. This is one of his favorites. But when I decided to watch it, I was really bored watching it. I'm gonna be honest. I think this was one of those cases where it was unfortunately overhyped for me. So it's like I was expecting a lot going into it. Maybe it was the dub or something. I know CDogVA, I think, watched it dubbed. I watched it subbed just mainly because it didn't really have any voice actors that I really recognized. The first couple episodes were good, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I know this might trigger some people because I know this does have kind of a niche fan base, but I'm gonna put it in the tier, unfortunately. Next one, Helsing, the original, 2003, I think, when it came out. How I got introduced to the Helsing world, which I think most people did, it was the Team 4-star abridged Helsing. I watched the first couple episodes of that, and I was like, this is actually really good, I want to watch the original. And I did, and the original Helsing Ultimate is really good. And that was years ago, but then recently, when I was going through my another big watch of anime, I decided to watch both Helsings. I watched the original one first, and you know what? There's parts of it that are really good. What saves it for me is because it has my favorite voice actor, Crispin Freeman, as Alucard, and that's what saves it for me. But the original Helsing, it's shown its age. Honestly, I can't sugarcoat this one too much. I put it beside Doro in the shit tier as well. Compared to Helsing Ultimate, there's no comparing the two. Now, there's no denying where this one's gonna go. Cowboy Bebop. Now, this is something that hasn't shown its age. Cowboy Bebop, I recently rewatched. It still holds up to this day. It is amazing anime. Like, obviously, music, some of the best. It's one of those shows that you watch and you kind of forget that it's an anime because it's like, it's just that good. English dub, also one of the best. Steve Bloom absolutely kills it. Some of the most iconic characters in Spike Spiegel, Faye Valentine, Jet Black, and Ed. Don't forget Ein, cute little puppy. So there's no denying where Cowboy Bebop belongs. Cowboy Bebop, of course, shoots all the way up to the God tier. Next up, Dragon Ball GT. Now, if you know me, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a very avid Dragon Ball fan. I grew up with it. Well, not really. Obviously, I wasn't born in the 90s, so I didn't really, watch it on the American broadcast, even though that's the version of Dragon Ball Z that I prefer, the American broadcast with the Falconer music. Love that so much. I did grow up with Kai, though. Like, I watched that when it was on TV, but my brother did show me the original American broadcast, like on DVD. you know, the orange bricks. See, here's the thing with GT. I know for a fact that it's terrible. I've tried watching it several times. Farthest I ever get is about 3 episodes. It is terrible. Man, I just don't know what they were thinking with GT. I mean, I know what they were thinking. They were trying to take it back to original Dragon Ball, but then they couldn't commit to it all the way, so they went back to the Z stuff. It's just, yeah, Dragon Ball GT's shit tier. There's no arguing that. Dragon Ball Z, of course. As of course I just talked about it. It is still my favorite anime of all time. Period. Possibly being rivaled with Fate Zero. Of course, it goes up in God tier. We'll get stuff in high and mid tier eventually, don't worry. Honestly, I think I'll move the Helsing one up to mid tier. I don't think it deserves to be in shit tier. It's not too bad. Okay, next one. Maid-sama. An interesting romance, to say the least. Honestly, I enjoyed it. The main dude is where a lot of my problems come with. It's just I don't really like that kind of character. Oh, he's so Mr. Perfect and everything. The main girl is a tsundere though, so that balances it out. Even though I pride myself on being the tsundere simp, she's probably one of my least favorite tsunderes. I mean, overall the show's pretty decent. It has some really good music. Because of that, I'll put it in mid tier. I don't exactly plan to ever rewatch it. Orimo. Incest, the anime. Wincest. This was one of those shows. It was one of the first like kind of animes that I watched because at the time I kind of started with romance anime, weirdly enough, because mainly the only shonen I really watched was Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super as it was airing. But Orimo, because obviously I was in that high school time, I was into a lot of, you know, romance and, you know, plot oriented shows. Yeah, the incest thing aside, it's hard because that's literally the whole basis of the show. It's shit. It's not really a good show anyway. But an amazing romance show though, Toradora. Well, although no, I was gonna put it in God tier, but nah, I don't think it should go in God tier. Toradora though is easily one of my favorite romance animes ever. And of course, Tsundere Simp again. Taiga, one of my favorite tsunderes ever. Arguably like the face of tsunderes, aside from maybe Rin Tosaka, my queen. No, I said Toradora was one of my favorite romance animes ever, but easily my favorite romance anime. Period. Clannad. Specifically Clannad After Story. Well, to be fair, calling Clannad After Story a romance anime is kind of iffy, because Clannad, which is the first one, is more of the romance. Because Clannad After Story is exactly what it is. It's the after story to Clannad. Talk about a show that'll just destroy you in every facet, because I cannot even listen to the music of Clannad After Story without immediately crying or just like starting to tear up. It is without a doubt like the best romance anime, period. It's easily the most emotional anime I've ever watched. Like, just in terms of making me cry, because obviously there's some stuff in Dragon Ball and My Hero Academia and stuff like that and Fate that gets me emotional, but this is the first anime that really made me bawl like a bitch. I'm just gonna let the record know that I could not even get through editing this part of the video talking about Clannad After Story without immediately starting to tear up. Here's picture proof of it. Just how amazing this anime is. Go watch it. How dare you not watch it? Watch it now. Moving on from incredible romance anime, we get to questionable romance anime. High School Dxd. Or High School DD, whatever you want to call it. Talk about a awakening for me in high school. I mean, I did watch it in high school, fitting. I haven't watched it since then. First 3 seasons, pretty good. Till they get to season 4, where they decide to do some weird things with the art style. Although I do see that, like some OVAs or the next season, they are switching more to the original style, which is, again, for me, is like, so why even change it in the first place? I'm not going to defend this one too much. This very much is a guilty pleasure for me. Although, to be fair, even though it very much is a ecchi, and it's the king of harem animes, let's be fair, I can't in good conscience put it in shit tier, which is why I'm putting it in God tier. I'll put it in mid tier. I can't in good conscience put it next to Toradora. I just physically can't. Oh man, we are just on a not good romance streak right now. Dean's Fate Stay Night. Again, watch my tier list video. I think I did a good review of the Dean's Fate Stay Night. Like I said in that video, it is watchable. It is a watchable show, but it is terrible, and it is very memeable and very iconic. But at the same time, that does not save it from the shit tier. Samurai Champloo. When I watched Cowboy Bebop, I went right into this because I heard these two were compared often. Samurai Champloo, I don't know if it was just because I was coming off the high of Cowboy Bebop, but animation was incredible, of course. And it again had the main character voiced by Steve Bloom. Well, again, calling him the main character is kind of iffy because it's sort of an ensemble show of like 3 characters. I would still put it in high tier. It's a high tier show. Chunibyo, another one of my favorite romance animes. Made me emotional in a different kind of way. It didn't make me cry or anything. Unfortunately, there is a long lost review where I reviewed Chunibyo, but some laptop stuff happened. I lost my hard drive. That video has been lost to the ether. I talked about in that season 1, incredible. 9 out of 10, I would say. Season 2 though, I'd say season 2 I'd give a 6 out of 10 at best. I mean, it is Kyoto Animation, one of my favorite animation studios. Season 1, I would definitely put in high tier, so it's kind of hard. So it's kind of like somewhere in between for me. It would be like right there. Because of season 1 though, I put it in high tier. Because season 1 does end in a way in which it feels like it could be the end. So then season 2 and all the bunches of other OVAs and movies that came out afterwards. Season 1 on its own, high tier. Ooh, yes. This one is easily one of my most guilty pleasure animes, period. Date Alive. I love this series so much. It is the quintessential definition of trashy harem of power fantasy shows, but I love it so much. I can't help it. It's, for me mainly, it's the season 1 OP is easily one of, if not my favorite OPs ever. Not so much for the visuals, it's the music, man. Anytime I hear that OP, I instantly want to go and watch the show again. It's so good. Also, season 1 is like my favorite season. Season 2 is also good. I mean, every season's great. Season 3 was really surprising to me with how good it was. It's amazing. Also, I simp for Toka very hard. It's like the only harem show where I actually root for the main girl. With no guiltiness aside, Date Alive, God tier. Suck me. Devil is a part-timer. I saw that season 2 finally has a trailer that dropped, so it's like, that's a long time coming. I didn't watch Devil is a Part-Timer until pretty recently. And honestly, I mean, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's like insanely good. Like, people like live and die by this show, and the fact that it's finally getting a second season, for some people, it's like getting a second season of the Bible. Overall, I'd say it's a mid-tier show. Code Geass. When I first watched Code Geass, 10 out of 10 show, just mainly because I love character shows like that, like Death Note, Code Geass, and like Fate Zero. As time has gone on, it's marinated and sat with me. I don't think it's a god tier or a 10 out of 10 even. I've changed my mouse score on it constantly, but I've settled on it being season 1 an 8 out of 10. And season 2 I gave, I think, a 7 out of 10. It's like, it's still good. It's iconic as hell, and it has one of the best dubs ever. Johnny Young Bosch is the voice of Lelouch. It also has an incredible ending. It just gets crazy at points with how bombastic it becomes. Incredible mech animation and everything. I would still give it a high tier show because it's still great. Guren Lagann, or Guren Lagann as it's actually pronounced, at least in the dub. Another show that has an absolutely phenomenal dub. These were the 2 shows I watched back to back because they both deal with mechs. This one though deals much more with mechs than Code Geass does. Guren Lagann is freaking phenomenal show. It does what Code Geass does, but I say way better, just in terms of the bombastic. They say so many terms and stuff that shouldn't make sense to the average human. But it does. Talk about is just like, yeah, we're about to shoot the dimensional waterfall with the proton torpedoes, and it's like, yeah, sure, makes sense. Easily like one of the most hype shows I've ever watched. Pierce the heavens with your drill, and of course spiral power and everything. It's amazing. God tier show. Irregular Magic High. I don't even want to talk about this show. It is. I don't understand why it has so many seasons. It's shit tier. I will say, Irregular Magic High is a show that should have worked because animation, art, music, like it all is good. Like it's all passable at least. But the characters are so boring. It's like every single character is like OP. It's like there's no thread. The guy literally can't die. He's literally the most boring character ever. It just was so boring. I can't. believe I watched 25 episodes of that. There was one fight in that whole show where I was like, ooh, that was cool. But other than that, the whole show sucked. Your Lie in April. I think it's a little overhyped. Music, of course, it's a music show anime, so it's like it's incredible. And it has one of those romances where it doesn't like linger on it too much. It did kind of hit me though when I was watching it, just because I've performed on stage before. I've like in school, like I did drama and stuff, so it's like it did well in showing that like anxiety, like building up to a performance. Nevertheless, I'd say I give it a high tier. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Again, Fate tier list. I kind of regret it because in my tier list for Fate, I put Unlimited Blade Works at a B. Honestly, in hindsight, I actually would give it an A. Like, it's an incredible show. There's no reason. Honestly, there's parts of that show where honestly I'd be like tempted to give it an S. It's like Unlimited Blade Works. It's an amazing show if you're willing to accept the romance half of it. Honestly, for redemption, for where I put it originally, I'm gonna put it in God tier. Unlimited Blade Works deserves it. It's incredible. Durarara. I watched this recently. This is another like show that people like absolutely love. I get it though. It's pretty good. I watched it dubbed just because my boy Crispin Freeman voices it. The episode where it focused on Shizuo Heiwajima is my favorite episode of that show. Anytime he was on screen. Of course, I'm biased to Crispin Freeman, but also he was a good character. Overall, all of them were good. Though I'd say it's a mid-tier show, though. Fate Zero. Have I praised this show enough in every video that I can? I tend to mention it in every video where I talk about anime. Fate Zero comes up at some point. God tier. Nope. Putting it at the top of God tier. Fate Zero, Dragon Ball Z. Two favorite animes, period. Helsing Ultimate. Just talked about that. Again, my boy, Crispin Freeman, voicing a main character. But also Helsing Ultimate is easily... It's one of the best animated shows I've ever seen. It does get crazy with its plot. It's still cool. It's gruesome as hell. And for the fact that it's just an OVA series, it's also a lot longer than I thought. It's like, I thought it would be like 20-minute episodes. Each episode was an hour and there's 10 of them. It was still good though. God tier. Deserving. Infinite Stratos. High School Dxd. But it's the future. But also not as hentai-y. Still shit. I hate it. Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super gets a bad rap, and it pisses me off that people still to this day complain about the animation. But then I have the argument of, it's like, okay, you don't like the animation in Super? Well, that's just the first, like, 2 arcs. Guess what? There's 2 movies that are half as long and are way better, like, animated. Super, like, I'm putting it in God tier because everything after those 2 arcs, and some of the stuff in Super has some writing that surpasses Dragon Ball Z stuff. Like, I think the Black and Zamasu arc gets a bad rap. Just for being like, it's too hard to follow with the timeline. It's still cool. Dragon Ball Super, God tier. Shimoneta, definitely the most raunchiest anime I've ever seen. And the dub, I'm glad they went full with the dub on it, because it's one of those shows where it's like, I can't watch it any other way than in English, because it's so well done. But at the same time, I can't put it in God tier. Although, to be fair, this is the first anime that I watched. Technically, my first anime other than Dragon Ball Z. This was the first anime I watched in which I split off from just watching Dragon Ball Z, funnily enough. I'll still put it in high tier just for what it means to me. Rosario Vampire. Man, this is gonna be hard, man. There's so many of these that I have such a nostalgia and love for. Rosario Vampire, another incredible dub, actually. A lot of these, like, romance ones, like, I watched dubbed. I didn't really want to watch subbed yet. I wasn't open to that just yet, but Rosario Vampire does have a really good dub. It's also like it's my favorite harem anime. Just because it's, at the end, I mean, it is ecchi, but at the same time, it's wholesome for the most part. It's very self-aware, which is what I like. High tier, right next to Shimoneta. Kill la Kill. Another show that I, after watched, immediately gave a 10 out of 10. I only moved it down to a 9 out of 10. It is an incredible show. Another show, again, amazing dub. It's like most of these I've watched dubbed, just because they are amazing dubs. Voice actress of Ryoko, you know, the heartthrob of the internet when it comes to anime girls, absolutely kills it. It's a very hype show. I definitely would put it up there with Guren Lagann. So yeah, I am going to Kill la Kill. God tier. Snow White with the red hair. Check out my review of this anime back when I was doing that Mal tier list, which I'm never revisiting because that was hell. Easily the worst romance anime I've ever seen. Animation, art's not bad. It's just I hate the characters in it so bad. Except Obi. Obi's cool. But show sucks. Watch my review. Ooh, okay. Now, if you want to talk about things that I truly have a guilty pleasure for, Chivalry of a Failed Knight is easily in my top 10 animes. Even though, yes, it is very much power fantasy trash, it is not trash. I can't believe I watched it dubbed though, because the dub of it is actually terrible. The sub though is amazing. I initially watched it dubbed, but then years later I watched it subbed and I was like, why did I not watch it subbed? The subbed is amazing. Like, the voice actress for Stella does an incredible job. It also has some of the best music I've ever heard. Like, the main theme, worst one, is like You Say Run levels of music for me. It's so amazing. Yeah, it's ecchi. It doesn't linger on it, which is good. It's like the story's good. It has an OP protagonist. He still feels human. It also has a romance that doesn't take the entire span of the show to happen. I mean, spoiler, but not really. The romance, like, they both confess to each other in like the 4th episode, and the show has 12 episodes, so it's like, ugh. I love it. I have no regrets putting it in God tier. It's amazing. My Hero Academia. Now, if I had done this tier list like a year or two ago, I would have probably put My Hero probably a high tier. Honestly, maybe even a mid tier. But nah, man. My love for this series has resurged in recent times. This show never fails to get me hype. My Hero is easily, I'd say, my 3rd favorite anime of all time. You know, Dragon Ball Z, Fate Zero, My Hero, which is why I'm putting it up there in the God tier. Again, check out my tier list for the notable fights in My Hero. Although, to be fair, I know I talked about, it's like, yeah, Dragon Ball, Fate Zero, but honestly, those two are kind of neck and neck. Honestly, I'd say they're tied for 1st, and then My Hero would be 2nd, and then probably Clannad, maybe, would be 3rd. Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor. Another show that you have to watch dubbed, because otherwise it's not good. Because this show, normally, is very mid-tier, but the dub, Josh Grell always kills it with this power fantasy garbage stuff. It's hilarious, the dub. I honestly love it. High tier. Cowboy Bebop's movie, though. Incredible movie. The animation just somehow got even better. That's because it's a movie, so money. Easily God tier, right next to the show. Megalobox is one of my new tops. Another show that gets compared to Cowboy Bebop a lot, but honestly, it has amazing music, amazing animation. The season 2 of it isn't as good, The Nomad, but it's good for a different reason. Amazing show though, God tier. It's one of my new favorites. Death Note. I am probably amongst the very, very few, who still think that the last 10 episodes or so of Death Note are still good. Yeah, Nier isn't as nearly as good as L, but I still don't think that those last few episodes ruin Death Note as a whole. Obviously, the first 25 episodes are literally some of the most iconic anime, period. But even still, I still view the whole show as it is, as a God tier show. What is the name of this? It's like Testament of Sister New Devil in English, or Shinmaru no Testamento. It's like High School DxD. It pretty much is High School DxD, but not as good. And I'll talk about a show that pretty much is hentai. This is hentai, and it's shit. Clannad, first one. Not as good as Clannad After Story, but you need to watch Clannad before Clannad After Story, obviously. Clannad still, I would give high tier. Right below Clannad After Story. Violet Evergarden, I'd say, is like Kyoto's best animated and drawn show, and that's honestly what keeps drawing me back anytime there's a new OVA or movie for Violet Evergarden. Even though the final movie that came out is like the last thing, obviously, and the way it ends, obviously, it's like that's the end. I do have mixed feelings about that final movie, but this is mainly the show. I wouldn't put in God tier, but it is high tier. Really good. Full Metal Alchemist. I finally sat down recently and watched all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I haven't watched the first one. I probably will eventually, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, man, God tier. I'm making a video on Full Metal Alchemist eventually. Not a review, really, but kind of like a essay type thing where it's like the Full Metal Alchemist effect. This is a case where hype of a show doesn't ruin the experience, it enhances it. I'll talk more about that eventually, but yeah, Full Metal Alchemist, one of my new favorites. And last but not least, look, perfect thing I'm wearing, Demon Slayer. I have mixed feelings about Demon Slayer. When I first watched it, obviously, That was incredible. My feelings on Demon Slayer have fluctuated over time. When I first watched it, thought it was great. Saw the movie in theaters, the Mugen Train movie. Blown away by that, loved that. I'm waiting for the current season to be over, and then I'm gonna binge watch that. But Demon Slayer, it's hard. Obviously, it's like some of the best animation. Well, not really, but well, I mean, it is. Art definitely, for sure, is incredible. I can't really in good conscience put it in God tier, though. I'm putting it in high tier, though. I'll put it at the top of high tier. That'll be that. So is that everything? Yep, that is everything. That is the speed run for this tier list. This still somehow took me 45 minutes though. So yeah, this is just a quick video I wanted to do. Just pretty much saying, hey, I got a new setup and I'm making a comeback. Enjoy my new videos as they come out, because I'm going to try to get more and more of these ideas out, because I still have some stuff brewing, of course. You're going to be seeing this culture hat a lot. Sorry. Thanks for clicking through on this video and enjoying it with me. Check out some of these other videos on here, like this one. And this one, and all the ones up there in the annotation thingies. And click subscribe if you're new. I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.